Some say love takes a heavy load, helps someone make the burden light, teaches you not to hold too tight. You and I come a long way together. You and I got a long way to go. You don't have to ask me now and then, 'cause I'm already yours. You'll always be mine. Some say love is a fire that grows, bound up when you let it go. Some say love is a choice we make, a holy vow we should never. Maybe that's just the chance we take. You and I come a long way together. You and I got a long way to go. You don't have to ask me now and then, 'cause I'm already yours. You'll always be mine. You'll always be
What is up, everybody? You know, I always start this show off by showing love to those companies who help make this podcast possible. First is my friends over at Yellow Jacket. I always tell you, I will never, ever tell you or ask you to buy something. All I do is bring something up. And if you guys are looking to purchase a new tool, then check out my friends over at Yellow Jacket. You know that. One of the tools that I want to highlight is one of their newest tools out, the YJack Flow Anemometer. This thing is absolutely awesome. I have one that's gonna be try to give away here soon. But I've been testing it out. This thing is absolutely awesome. That'll be a podcast here shortly. We know that people are not checking airflow the way they should, but the YJack Y Flow measures and displays duct airspeed readings and automatically circulates quantity and location of readings in ducts and meets AHRI standards. YJack Flow takes accurate airflow measurements up to 30 milliseconds, measuring the entire duct flow to account for turbulence, or completes a single line airflow for fast duct to duct flow comparisons. If you'd like to check this out, go to Yellow Jacket's website, or you can also go to one of my other sponsors, TrueTechTools.com. Yellow Jacket is now on there, and you can use the discount code Uncensored to save 8% on your order. This thing is very cool. And Yellow Jacket's new lineup of tools is absolutely amazing. So if any of you are out there and you're trying to spend some of that summer money you guys are making out there, give my friends over at Yellow Jacket a look. All right. Next, if some of you are like me, I like to stay up to date on what is going on in the trade. But I don't have a whole bunch of time. I'm a busy person. I got a lot of things, running different companies, doing my own personal thing, the podcast, being a husband, a father of four, my mom's health stuff. We all got stuff to do, but I like to stay up to date with what's going on in the trade. And my friends over at Home Pros do it amazingly. They send you a digital newsletter weekly, sometimes more, and it gives you all the things that are going on in the trade. And it's absolutely free. The screen you're looking at right now, if you go to www.readhomepros.com, all you have to do is enter your email, nothing else, no credit card, no nothing. It adds you to their list, and it's twice a week, for free. It'll send you some updated things. Some of the topics: Carrier and Lennox report Q1 earnings, confirm 10 to 20% price increases, the state of the HVAC in 2024. AC heat pump shipments dropped to 16.7% in 2023. All kind of different topics. Let me tell you this. Did you guys know that Bosch is getting ready to buy Johnson Controls portfolio, which is going to be including York? an $8 billion deal. It's not finalized, but Bosch is going to buy them. That's a cool fun fact, is it not? Um, that's one of the things I learned while reading these. A lot of people know that there's time and material and there's flat rate pricing. Well, there's a new pricing method coming out called dynamic pricing, which is going to be where you can take your real time cost and pretty much you would change your pricing. So it's good to stay up to date on these kind of things to know what's going on in the trade, whether it affects you directly or not. I absolutely love what they do. They give you articles in bite-sized chunks that makes it easy to consume. But if you want more info, they give you links to articles to be able to go to dive in deeper if that's what you want. So, guys, go check out my friends over at Home Pros. Remember, it is www.readhomepros.com and it is absolutely free. With that being said, let's get on to this show. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil KV Jr.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. I am your host, Gil KV Jr. Here we are, another Wednesday, another hump day. Real fast, let me get some things off of the screen here. Quick apology about last week, man. We had a gnarly storm here, knocked power out, and we were without power until like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning that night. And I held out as long as I possibly could, but obviously it didn't work out. So my apologies. I've missed you guys. It's been 2 weeks since you've seen me. So thank you guys for being here. I really, really appreciate it. An amazing show for all of you tonight. Actually, real just shout out to some people, but Mr. Jason Johnson, thank you for being here. He's been here chatting with me. Mr. Nasty, what is up? Mr. Freon Leon. Hey, that's awesome that you were close to me, Leon. You should have hit me up. Message me or something like that. But hey, email me again, Leon. I need your address again to be able to ship you that bag. And that stuff's a whole nother story. But I had some issues. But Miss Rachel, hello. Rookie, what's up, my brother? If I missed anybody else, that should be good. But what I was gonna say is I have an amazing show for you guys tonight. And you guys know that I love to talk about different financial things because I think that you should be strong financially, whether you own a business or just your personal finances. And I've had people tell me, hey, I don't own a business, but listening to some of these podcasts where you talk about these things, it's made me really think and dive into my personal finances and make changes. And that's good. You don't have to earn a business to be able to get something out of these podcasts when we talk about financial things. Okay. So, with that being said, let me give you a little introduction to our guest tonight. If I get these papers mixed up. So, hold on. I'm messing things up. I kicked my daughters out and messed up. Look at me. My fault. Got stuff all over the damn place. But I have Mr. Chad Hufford. Here's my list. He was born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska. Chad grew up in the financial industry, but also developed a strong background in athletics, nutrition, and performance psychology. Chad brings a coaching mindset and the heart of a teacher to financial planning and investing as he strives to both empower and educate his audience to not only become better investors, but to live more intentionally and create an abundant life. Chad is Dave Ramsey's Smart Investor Pro and owns a boutique financial planning firm, uh, Veritas. He told me I'm having a brain fart. Um, wealth management. We'll let him say it so I don't mess it up. Managing $500 million and serves several hundred families across the U.S. In addition to finance, he regularly teaches and speaks on fitness and faith. Seeing these are all important aspects of a purposeful and abundant life, which I agree with this 100%. So, without me butchering the name of his company, guys, please put your hands together and help me welcome Mr. Chad.
Gil, it is an honor to be here. I appreciate having me on and being encouragement to your audience.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And I know you just told me, I'm sorry I just butchered the name of the company. Can you say it again before we?
It's Veritas, Veritas
Veritas.
Wealth Management. Yeah, Veritas is a Latin word for truth or integrity, and that's a promise we make to everybody that we talk to. We're going to tell them what they need to know, which is not necessarily what they want to hear. We'll give them the truth and let the chips fall where they may.
And that's awesome. And I love the fact that you put in there that it's about financials, fitness and faith, which are three things that I are very, very important to me. I don't do I still keep myself in shape, not as good as I used to, but it's still something that I think about. And a lot of times it's the discipline factor is what makes changes in your life because fitness is one of those things that nobody can do it for you. I don't care if your best friend is a personal trainer. They can't do it for you. You have to put in the work, and it just helps discipline you in other things in your life.
Absolutely. I think both fitness and finances are that way, Gil. They're keystone habits where when you have discipline and intentionality in those areas, they have a ripple effect into every area of your life. And as you know, we work with blue collar millionaires from all over the United States. But one of the things I've seen happen is sometimes people during their 30s and 40s and 50s trade their health away for wealth, and then they get to a point in their 60s and 70s where they end up spending their wealth to try to buy back their health. So we're working with men and women who do difficult physical jobs and just trying to encourage them to build those both in conjunction, and don't sacrifice your physical fitness for financial fitness, because you're not going to be able to really experience true abundance unless both of those pillars are in place.
And I agree with that 100%, especially um, that was me for the longest time where I was always in shape, but I wasn't taking care of my body. I was stupid. I was putting, drugs and chemicals and alcohol in my body. And, I'm only 41, but I wonder why I have certain issues now that I have to deal with, but it's my fault. I set it up and it's make me want to go get the regular blood tests, the checkups and those kind of things to keep myself in shape. As you get older, I have a family. I want to be here. I want to be able to see grandchildren. And, a lot of times when we're younger, we don't think about that kind of stuff. But the younger you can realize that, the better off you'll be in the long run. I agree with that 100%. And also about the financial part, people work all that time just to get money. And by the time they can actually enjoy it, they're not around long enough. They're just inheriting it to somebody else.
Or they're not physically able to enjoy it. Like we tell people all the time, what's the point of building wealth if you don't have the health to enjoy it? So, yeah, both those have to be done in conjunction. And if you have a lot of money but your health is poor, you're still not going to experience freedom and abundance. If you have great health but you're broke, you're not going to experience much freedom and abundance. So, we really believe that again, both of those are pillars to living a truly abundant and freedom filled life.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I know the viewers and listeners don't know. So you are in Alaska. Is that where you from? Born and raised in Alaska?
Born and raised. Now I've got six kids of my own, raising them in just outside of Anchorage, Alaska, but we live on the very periphery, on the very edge of Anchorage. So we had a bear come through our yard just the other day, walked around one of the cars, kind of sniffing around, and we have moose and lynx, and we live kind of on the side of a mountain overlooking the inlet. It's an amazing place to live. Gets a little cold, so we have to break up the winters every now and then, but it's it's the last frontier. It's called that for a very good reason.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there's so much of Alaska that people haven't even touched yet, So it's just there's so much stuff there. I would love to go there and do some things. I know people that have been there on different hunting trips and stuff like that, and they're just like, it's nothing compares to it. They're like, that place is one of a kind.
It absolutely is. And I've lived here my whole life. I have friends that are pilots and have boats, so I've been able to explore a lot of different areas. But still, like there's so much I haven't seen of my own state. And my son, our oldest son, is 14. He just got back from commercial fishing. So he was out in Bristol Bay, no running water, limited electricity, only on a generator. I mean, they had bears walking right through their camp, Gil. I mean, again, it's the Wild West out there still. And, it's just, there's not many places left in the United States where you can still experience that. And even from where we live, I'm 15 minutes from my office, but 30-minute hike gets you behind this mountain range, and you look and it's just untouched wilderness. And it's a cool place to be. Come visit.
For sure. You don't gotta tell me twice. So how is it when you have to you have travel for work, like flying out of there? Is that a pain, like especially with snow, like getting shut down, delayed, that kind of stuff?
Usually not, because our airport deals with snow all the time. They have those protocols in place. But I was just on another podcast this morning and talking about a trip. This is the most expensive vacation I've never been on. We had a trip to see, a trip to Vegas, going to watch football games, have a couple other things planned. And we got so much snow that we couldn't get out of our own street. And there was a truck that had jackknifed and was blocking our road. And where we live is kind of one road in, one road out. So usually weather is not a problem getting out, but that time it was. The biggest issue with traveling out of Alaska, Gil, is just that we basically have to start our trips in Seattle. So it's about 3.5 hour flight before you kind of start the rest of your trip. And there's direct flights to Hawaii and Arizona and places like that, but you just gotta budget for a lot of time and expense around airplanes. And we do it. It's an important part for our lifestyle to be able to get out of Alaska. And thankfully, I have a job that affords me that freedom and flexibility, because the winters do get a little bit long. So we thaw out for a few days at a time and come back and enjoy the snow.
That's awesome. Well, I guess before we get into the nitty gritty of like financial and stuff like that, I guess just tell us a little bit about you. So you live there, you got into finance, kind of young. So what's kind of the background on that? Like you growing up and getting into finance?
Yeah, so my degree is actually in biochemistry. My plan was to go into medicine, and I still have a passion and a fascination for it. We work with some physicians, and we nerd out on all that stuff. But that was my path. That's what I thought my plan was. But I grew up in the financial industry, which you alluded to in the introduction. And what I saw growing up is when somebody has confidence and clarity in their finances, then that bleeds into the rest of their life. And it goes the other way too. When somebody has anxiety and fear and doubt in their finances, that stress bleeds into every area of their life as well. So positive or negative, finance has a way of changing somebody's experience and financial trajectory and life trajectory. So I saw that growing up. I saw the impact my dad had in people's lives, and he taught classes in our church. He taught classes in our community, and really helping people just become better stewards, better operators of their finances. But I didn't really feel that was my calling until my early to mid 20s. I met the woman who's now my wife, mother of my 6 kids. And what I realized that she, even though she supported me in pursuing medicine, her desire was for a family and for she wanted a husband. She wanted to raise kids. And not that you can't have a great family balance while being in medicine, but I was wanting to go into surgery, and the dues you have to pay are pretty extreme. And I just know how I'm wired. Ultimately, Gil, what I wanted was to own a business and not have a business that owned me. And I had some mentors that really cautioned me about going into surgery, because even though it provides a lot of things, they said the way that you're wired, you're going to probably end up with a practice that owns you. And that's not what I wanted. So ultimately, I my why is still the same: to be able to empower people to live a more fulfilled life and a better version of themselves. I just thought it was going to be through medicine, but now it's through finance.
That's awesome. I love that. Hey, especially as a religious man, sometimes God works in mysterious ways, and we think we're gonna do one thing, and all of a sudden another door opens, and it's like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's amazing. You just have to keep your eyes open because it happens all the time, and sometimes we walk right past it. So I love that, and So I know, I guess obviously, being HVAC and trade related, we'll try to keep it around that. But I get it, finance is finance. But if hypothetically, I owned a company, and I don't know if there's revenue, like the revenue needs to be at a certain place for it to really make sense for you. But I own a company, and I call you. Like, what are the kind of the steps to kind of getting me on track? And is there a revenue? Like, does somebody need to be a couple of million? Doesn't matter.
It's never too early to start doing the right thing. And there's a lot of people who start businesses intentionally, but sometimes it's by accident. Either way, a lot of times people don't have an exit strategy for what that looks like. And we don't even call it retirement. I believe more in this idea of a job optional lifestyle because, Gil, the people like you and I, we're not wired to retire to just go down to Florida and play shuffleboard all day. But I don't want to have to work for the rest of my life. I don't want you to have to work for the rest of your life. I don't want your listeners to have to go collect a paycheck for the rest of their life. So we want to get people to a place where they no longer need their job or their paycheck in order to live comfortably. And we try to get people to reverse engineer what that looks like. So at some point in the future, you're going to be at a place where you don't need your job anymore. You don't need to run your company. We want to be able to provide financial independence from that. And what we do is create essentially a blueprint that connects people's current actions to their long-term goals and allows them to have a process and a plan that guides their saving and spending decisions. So their net worth isn't just in their business. They have freedom and flexibility outside that business. So when it comes time to maybe take a step back or look at retiring or maybe pass on to something else, they don't have to sell the business in order to take a step back. They have assets and resources in other areas that can fill in the gaps that their paycheck once filled or that their owner draws or however you want to look at it. And maybe they do want to sell business, and that's okay too. But so many entrepreneurs, as you know, have all of their wealth wrapped up in that business. And their freedom, their autonomy is very much tied up into that company. And early on that may have to be the case, but we just want to help people make a plan so that isn't the way that it goes forever. And they've got other legs to their stool, so to speak, where they're not just leaning on someday selling their business in order to create financial independence.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I've seen it time and time again. I know plenty of my friends have sold their company and they've made out, amazing. It's been awesome for them. But I've seen some that do it and, they regret it. And once it's done, it's done. And having the exit strategy, whether you own the business or not, I tell people, even if you're a technician in the field, you don't want to be doing that when you're 60 years old. You know, I don't want to be doing installs when I'm 50 something years old. I don't want to do them now for that matter.
Yeah.
So you have to have an exit strategy, whatever that may be. Maybe the money you've been making throughout the years, you've invested it in some real estate. You put it in the stock market. I don't know. Maybe you've done something, but to have some kind of plan, don't think that you're just going to work with no plan and then you're going to live off of like Social Security. I want to be able to retire and live a meaningful life and not have my lifestyle drop off. So
Yeah.
like you said, if reverse engineering it where, okay, I know I'm probably not going to necessarily make what I make right now, but I want to be pretty close to it because I don't want to have to live eating ramen noodles.
Man, I got to stop you there because it's so easy for people to shortchange themselves. And Gil, I'm going to pick on you for just a little bit, only because I care about you. You just said, I probably won't be able to make the income I'm doing right now. So many people in the trades have been told that lie. In order for them to retire, they're going to have a much lower income. We've got a lot of blue collar millionaires who never had a huge paycheck, who worked in the trades their entire life that make as much or more money now than they did while they were working full time.
Nice.
And it's totally possible. It takes a lot of grit. It takes a lot of determination and perseverance, but it's absolutely possible. And that's what people in the trades need to be reminded is this is not yet you do a hard job, but it does not need to be forever. and getting people to a place where they have the freedom to call it quits on their terms, not working until their body can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, no. I'm glad you said that. That is, that's awesome, and I want people to know that. So you tell me, I've heard this that you need 20 good years to be able to retire with some kind of plan in place. I mean, does that sound right?
Yeah, 20 years of intentional saving and planning, yes. That's probably a good benchmark. Now, there's a lot of people who really don't have a plan, and they just spend a big part of their career simply collecting investments. And then at some point, they try to maneuver a plan out of it. Again, it's like, you wouldn't build a house without a blueprint. Your financial future shouldn't be any different. But what we want to get people doing is actually purposely planning, like investing and budgeting and spending with intentionality, because it can shorten that time by building your financial house, so to speak, more efficiently. Um, it can sometimes even happen faster than that. But if you look at somebody who's saving, maybe 15% of their income, investing it wisely, doing that for 2 decades, you're gonna have a lot of. You may not be able to completely replace your paycheck. You might, but you're gonna have a lot of freedom and autonomy at that point. And it's different for every person. And that's why I think it's important for people to know what their financial targets are and have a course or a roadmap to meeting them.
Yeah. So do you have like when regardless of the client, do you have is it kind of custom? Like, hey, if I would do this, and this, or do you kind of have them kind of a tried and true, like invest in this, do that kind of thing?
So you had somebody on your show here recently talking about how the actual tactics need to be customized to the job at hand, but you're going to be following broader based principles. And that's exactly what we do. We don't want to use a cookie cutter one size fits all approach because, Gil, as you know, one size fits all means one size fits nobody. I'm sure we can both remember as kids, getting like you go to a ball game and get like a free t-shirt or something like that. And it's like a dress, and we used to wear them instead of pajamas. Looking back at pictures, like, oh my gosh, it looked ridiculous. But yeah, one size fits all means one size fits nobody. So we want to tailor it to that individual, but we're absolutely going to be using and following tried and true principles that always work. And that's the beauty of my job is we're taking those long-term principles. We work really, really closely with Dave Ramsey. Dave talks to 10 million people every day. I get to sit in front of people, and my team gets to sit in front of people one-on-one, either in person or over a screen, and apply those principles to their actual financial path. And we tailor it to their dreams, their goals, and what matters to them.
Nice. I love that. And kind of backtracking, we said about something as simple if you're not even a finance guy, like Chad or some other people that have been on here, is uh, a budget. And my wife was good with that. My mom taught me and about being able to stick to that budget. And I don't care how much money you make, whether you're tight, you got a disposable income, stick to that budget because that's how that you're going to be able to really start to save money. This is what I was just thinking of and I almost forgot is I've heard of a bunch of different rules that people say, but somebody said, what was it, the 50-20-30 rule? I don't know if you heard of that, where they say like 50% of your income should go, to, paying for your house, your bills, whatever that is. 20% should go into like investments, 401k, whatever that is. And then the other 30% is what you can do for, you can take more of that and put that into investments, or that should be what you use for, you know, vacation, or there's little kind of things. I think I saw it on like TikTok or something, but I've never heard of the 50-20-30 rule.
And those are so there's a lot of kind of generic, somewhat arbitrary breakdowns like that. The beauty of having a personal financial plan, a personal blueprint, is I'm just going to make something up. So let's say that you want to replace $100,000 a year of income. Just using that as an example. we can create a very specific financial target and then reverse engineer that depending on where you are right now, what you have saved, and how many years you're going to give yourself. Let's say you're going to give yourself 15 years. We can tell you pretty much what you're going to need to save and how you're going to need to invest every month to get there. What that does is it allows you to know how much you can afford to spend on other things without stealing from the future version of yourself. So rather than using just these cookie cutter formulas, which might be a good starting place, but we want people to have an actual target for where they're going to be in the future and how much they need to, the price that they need to pay every month to stay on track with that target. Because nobody comes wealthy by accident. We talked already about fitness. Like nobody gets in great physical shape by tripping into a gym. It requires intentionality and sacrifice. And we want people to have their specific numbers to know what they need to accomplish. And the beauty of it is there's actually freedom in that. I love that you talked about a budget, because knowing how much you need to save every month shouldn't be restrictive. It allows you to know how much you can enjoy in the moment without sacrificing your future and having balance, because some people don't think about the future at all and spend everything in the moment. And then others have a hard time living in the moment because they don't know what they're going to need for the future. So we try to help people get that balancing out. And because that's what a budget does too. It doesn't necessarily tell you what you can't do. A budget prioritizes what is most important to make sure that your energy and effort goes into those things first, and then let some of the other things fall by the wayside. So we tell people a budget is like a financial calendar. It doesn't tell you what you can't do. It schedules what you absolutely must do to make sure that those things happen.
Yeah. So it's, hey, if I want to go on this trip that, this vacation or whatever it is that cost $10,000, okay, I can't do it right now, but according to the budget, we can definitely do this next summer.
Yeah. And do it next summer and enjoy it because it's paid for ahead of time. And you still met your long-term financial goals. You still paid your future self every month, your 401k, your IRA, whatever. So you can go on that trip and realize that you didn't sacrifice the 75-year-old version of yourself to take your family on vacation, because we want people to live present in the moment too. And too many people view retirement like this finish line, and they might sacrifice too much while they're running this race, only looking at that tape in the future and looking at that finish line, and they cross it and then look back and realize, man, I sacrificed my family, my health. I sacrificed way more than I needed to get here. So we want people to be able to live their life in balance, where they're making some sacrifices, they're doing some hard things, like you just said. There's no growth without discomfort, but we don't want people to sacrifice those things that are truly priceless in the moment, like our health, like our family, like our relationships, for the sole purpose of building wealth in the future. It's got to be in balance.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And it's how you said earlier about, people's, finances are directly related to their stress and their feeling or anxiety, which I've been there, I've done that. And, couples arguing, most married couples that have arguments are fighting over finances. It's not that they don't love each other, that kind of stuff. It's the stress gets to both of them. And I also see a lot of people that don't budget, and they may make 100 something thousand a year, but they live like they make $200,000 a year. And that's why they think, oh, this economy, and don't get me wrong, the economy sucks. And I'm not saying that it's good, but they're their own worst enemy. But then I know other people I got friends of mine that they're both teachers. These people make $60,000 a year, but they do whatever they want, whenever they want, because they know how to budget and save money.
You're absolutely right. And to that point, I mean, we've got folks we've worked with a long time that have probably never made $100,000 in a year from their job and are multimillionaires. I just met with somebody the other day who is a physician and making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and is essentially living paycheck to paycheck because there's no restraint. And people feel like, More money will fix money problems. And just think of navigating financial life like the skill of driving. If you're not a good driver, buying a faster car is not going to help you. More horsepower solves bad driving, like more money solves bad financial management. So we've got to learn how to be good managers of what we have right now, rather than trying to assume, well, I'll save more, or I'll invest more, or I'll pay down my mortgage faster when I make more money. You've got to create those habits now, even if they're small, and not waiting for more. The other thing I would like to say, what you said, you talked about ownership and agency. You didn't use those words, but that's what you said. People can blame the economy, they can blame the stock market, they blame their boss, they blame their employees, they blame whoever. But in order for us to find success in any area of our life, but especially finances, we've got to take ownership of our current circumstances. It might not be your fault that your circumstances are the way they are, but it is your responsibility to fix those circumstances and work your way out of some of those holes.
And it's never too late to fix it. I feel like some people, they're like, oh, well, it's so bad, there's no point. And I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, what?
No,
Like,
there's a
sorry.
there's a Chinese no, there's a Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is today. And you're absolutely right. There's no wrong time to start doing the right thing, and it's never too late to start doing the right thing.
Yeah, I feel that especially in the trades, I think that too many of us, well, I don't want to say us because I don't have that mindset, but too many of them undervalue what they do. They don't realize what they make, and they don't think about when it's going to end, like we just talked about. I know a lot of them are making really, really good money. And especially if you're dependent on where you are, it's like this roller coaster where you might make a lot of money in the winter when it's cold, shoulder season, and not making so much, a lot of money in the summertime. So we naturally have to be able to plan just to get through the year because we have to, when we're
Hmm.
making money. So you have that inept ability to survive and be able to do that, but don't survive, thrive, be able to plan a little bit more and, so you don't have to do it for like we talked about till you're 50, 60 years old and you can do something that you love. I was a knucklehead and I put myself through hell for so long that I want to enjoy every single second that I have left. And um, I'm going to work hard, but I'm going to play hard in the same sense that I'm going to be able to. Everything that I do is for something. I'm not just doing anything. It's kind of like calculated risk.
Well, in having the autonomy to choose, having the freedom to choose is so important, because even if you still working in your job or in your business, but knowing that you don't have to, knowing that you don't need that paycheck, knowing you don't need that revenue, because you could flip a switch and replace it from your other investments. And that could be 401ks, it could be real estate, doesn't matter. The point being that you build financial freedom so you're not dependent on your job. It allows the stress and the difficulty of the job you are doing to roll off your back. Knowing that you don't have to be there allows you to take more calculated risks with intelligence and with a sense of security, because you don't need everything to play out just perfectly. You have a margin of safety, is a way of saying that. There's buffer between life and you, and again, we use finances to help people create that buffer, and that's where freedom comes from. Just having that sense of security, and it's just a beautiful thing when you can see that light bulb click for somebody. They realize, I don't have to go back to work on Monday. It's super cool, man. I love watching it happen.
Yeah, and even something as small as I remember being when I was younger and dumb, and I'd go in to get a pack of cigarettes or a candy bar or whatever, and I had to hurry up and I had to check my account to make sure there was enough in there. And slowly being able to progress where it's like, okay, I'm living week to week. Okay, I want to put a month's worth of bills in the bank, and then so on and so on. And when it got to the point that I could go into a store and I could just buy something and I knew there was enough money in there to take care of it. That was just like man, that feels good. And then it starts to grow. Like I got addicted to seeing money in bank accounts, in places, in investment portfolios. Like, I would get excited about it. Uh, this is gonna kind of a weird question, and I won't hold you to it. But say, you go out to a bar or something, having a cup of coffee with somebody, and they're in the trades, and they say, Chad, I got $50,000 that I'm looking to invest. What would be your advice to them?
What is the job that needs to do? What's the job for that money? Because investments are just tools. We got to figure out what we're trying to build. So for that individual, we'd have to find out more of their financial situation. I'll just give you a quick example. Let's say that I've talked to this person for a little bit and I found out that they've got $80,000 of student loans, or $40,000 boat payment, or $25,000 in credit card bills. I would say the first thing we got to do is get rid of that debt. We've got to put out the fires before we start building the financial house. You wouldn't build a house in the middle of a forest fire. You shouldn't be trying to build your wealth in the middle of a debt fire. So it's trying to figure out where that $50,000 fits into somebody's long-term goal, because we want to be intentional. We don't just want to stick it into investment, because there's a world of difference between somebody who is strategically investing towards a desired objective and somebody who is just collecting investments.
I love that that's the way that you answered it, because I had another friend of mine who is in the financial world, and a friend of ours, he'll rack up credit cards, and him and his wife get back a decent amount in taxes. I guess good for them. I couldn't tell you last time I didn't pay taxes, but he uses his taxes, and then rather than paying off like a credit card or something, he just goes and buys dumb stuff. And he was like, well, why don't you take that and pay off one of the credit cards you have, you know, uh, to do something to start getting rid of your debt, versus thinking, oh, this is free money. So if you win $50,000 or something like that, and I love what Chad said, and you're $30,000 in debt, well, make that debt go away before you think. People have that mindset. Well, I'll invest this and try to turn this into 200,000, then I'll pay off my debt. No, you won't. No, you won't. If you didn't do it when you had the $50,000, you're not going to do it when you have the 200. If you get the 200.
That's a great point. You're absolutely right, Gil. And the other thing is in order to let investments grow, you've got to be able to absorb a lot of temporary downturns. If you don't have margin in your life, if your credit cards are maxed out, your budget's maxed out, you won't be able to ride out some of those downturns. So the people who have financial success have a blended, united front of both offense and defense. Offense is the fun stuff. You're buying real estate, you're investing your 401k, you're putting money towards something that can grow. But the defense is just as important. Having an emergency fund, because life will happen. Your brother-in-law will come and visit, clog your toilet, and the toilet will run all night long, and you'll walk out into the garage to get ready to go to the gym, and it looks like it's raining from inside your garage, but it's not raining outside, and you're wondering what in the world is happening right now. And that probably is way too specific of a story to be made up. Life happens. You've got to pay for those things, right? So having an emergency fund in place, having, paying down debt, that's the defensive side that often gets overlooked, because people are focused on the investments, the offense. They miss, or they look past the liabilities that are already there. So we want to make sure that people are looking at both their offense, defense, making sure both are strong, and that's how you win in finances.
Yeah, and I've been helped. My brother, has a finance degree and stuff like that, and he helps me. I ask him, and he guides me into a lot of things, which really has helped me, because I had that stupid mindset is, I'm a grinder, I'm a hustler, I'll always make money. I would spend it as fast as I made it. And thank God my mindset changed, or I would have nothing. I used to always say I didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of.
Hmm.
So, I had you had to discipline yourself to be able to do things, just the whole needs and wants and all that kind of stuff. So I hope this is, to all the business owners listening to this, obviously you guys have a little bit more this is for you a little bit more as far as the financials in a business and larger amounts of money, but also all the technicians and people listen to this. Your personal finances are the exact same. So please don't think like, oh, this isn't for me. We all have financial woes. We all have financial issues. So I don't want to say financial issues, but we all have finances. So this is for everybody.
Absolutely. One of the things that I hear, Gil, is, "Oh, I'm not interested in finances," or "It's intimidating, it's confusing, I'm just going to ignore it." And we tell people finances, it's like your health. If you ignore it, it's going to deteriorate. So you may not be interested in it, you might not appreciate it, but finances are a part of your life, whether you like it or not. And the more intentional you are, the better your finances are going to serve you. So just want to leave that encouragement, but also too, I mean, to your point, yes, I mean, you have a lot of business owners listen to your podcast, but we have a lot of people that are the techs. They're not the business owner. They're loyal workers there that can still create a tremendous financial independence and freedom, because it's more about what you do with your money than how much money you make. And there's a lot of people out there that try to out earn bad financial decisions, and it's just way easier to eliminate the mistakes. You don't have to make nearly as much money and get to an even better place financially.
That's awesome. And I'm glad that you said that, because that is such good advice, it's what you do with it, not necessarily how much. So, and what I want for all of you, technicians out there, that I get it that you're busting your humps, you're out in the field, it's wear and tear on your body. Be able to retire when you want to retire, like Chad had talked about earlier, and do the things that you want to do with your family or whatever it may be. And that can happen with exactly what you're making now, with a proper plan, like Chad has said. So I hope that you all take that, and I hope that it rings in your ears, that whether you call Chad or you call somebody else, that you start talking with a financial planner to have some kind of plan, because it makes a huge difference. And I thank God I'm still far away from my goals, but I know that I'm moving in the right direction, and that's okay with me.
And that's the thing, is you're making progress, and we need to value progress more than perfection. You're never going to have a perfect budget. You're never going to have a perfect investment. You're never going to have perfect employees. Like, nothing is going to be perfect. What you want is progress, to be making measurable progress towards those long-term goals. If you wait for perfect, you're never going to make any progress. So just start executing. The other thing I was going to say too, when you talked about the importance of a plan, is nobody has a plan to run out of money in retirement. The problem is most people don't have a plan not to.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And then I see these people that they live a certain way, and then they retire, and then I slowly start to see things dwindle. Oh, the
Hmm.
boat, they had to sell the boat that they used to have. Oh, they downsized to one car. Oh, they're selling the house. And it breaks my heart. And I don't want that. I don't want that to happen to myself. I don't want it to happen to anybody else out here. So that's what we're saying about having a plan, so that doesn't happen to you. And I feel like too many people, they worry about the now, or maybe the immediate future, maybe the next couple of months. And that's why I always say it's the short-term goals, the intermediate goals, and the long-term goals, and they're all going to go hand in hand, but you kind of got to have them. And I'm also old school, is I write things into existence. I love writing things down, even though I have a computer. I mean, I got $40,000 in the studio, but the thing that I love the most is a pad and a pencil. And I just feel like as I write things down, it's just I write it into existence. So
No, I love that. I'm the same way. I've actually got notes that I've just been making right here since we've been talking, and I'm the exact same way.
yeah, it's just I don't know. I just love that. And I can type it. I do use the notes app on my phone, but the old little planners and writing it. Plus I'm the only one that can read my chicken scratch. So if somebody tries to read my journal, they're not gonna know what I'm saying anyway.
Yeah, it's like encrypted. It's encrypted page.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's yeah, no, that's awesome. So let me out of all these businesses that reach out to you, what would you say would be like a common question or issue that pops up frequently?
They're kind of along the same lines of, what do I do when I don't want to work in my business anymore? How do I step back and, as you said, still maintain my lifestyle? So people ask it, am I on track for retirement, or what do I do once I sell my business? But that's what people are asking is, how can I be financially okay and not need to work in my business or work at my job anymore? Am I on track for that level of financial independence? A lot of the questions that we get boil down to kind of around that question of, am I on track? And if not, how do I get on track?
Hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I used to have an old neighbor. He's since passed. He'd be 100 and something now, but he used to always say, "You want to know about finances? You spend less than you bring in." There you go.
Okay, so I love that. And here's what's crazy. You had a guy, the blue collar king, on your show a little while back, and he was talking about like all the bad advice that's out there. People who, because of TikTok, Instagram, and whatever platform, like it's so easy to fake it. And you've got a lot of people out there who are broke giving advice to other broke people on how to be wealthy, and it's crazy. And that is one of the number one things, is you have to get used to living below your means. That is, your investment strategy won't matter because you can't feed it. Your tax strategies won't matter. Like, none of that matters until you can live below your means and spend less that you bring in. That is the very first step. And that's where a budget comes in really handy, because you're telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went.
Yeah, I mean, and I joke around, and I was, joking the other night talking about like so out of my four kids, I have a 19-year-old son, 15-year-old son, uh, 8-year-old daughter, 7-year-old daughter, and I don't give them anything. They do chores to get money. I make them earn it. And my younger daughters, I forget, they had like 25, $30. And I said that child's mentality is, how can I spend this $30? I got $30. I want to spend every dime. And we got them. I forget what my wife set it up. It's one of those little Go Henry things or something where I made them have a savings account. And I said, if you get $15 in allowance, $5 goes into your savings account, $10 goes in that you can spend. Um, and I was talking to them. They still don't understand it. Obviously, they're young. But I said, hey, you guys don't realize that you guys have like $340 in your savings account. They're like, oh, can I spend it? I'm like, no, you can't. I said, but I just want to show you that you're saving money for something else big that you want, because I'm trying to teach them young, even though I want them to be a child, but I still want them to understand some of those things. And the earlier, the better.
Well, you're creating the habit, and that's what's so powerful, because as they get older, they'll realize, I'm the type of person who can make a short-term sacrifice for a long-term benefit. And you said something earlier, maybe 20 minutes ago. You talk about people, how they make excuses like, I'll save more once I'm making more money, or I'll invest once I make more money, or I'll put a financial plan together once I hit these certain revenue goals. The problem is if we don't create those habits now, it doesn't really matter how much money we make. I mean, how many professional athletes do we see going broke that probably said the same thing? I'll start putting money aside once I sign my new contract, once I do this. There's guys that have made $200, $300 million in their career filing for bankruptcy. So we've got to start those habits now. So you'd be beginning your career, barely able to make ends meet. I don't care if you're saving, $10 a paycheck, but just get in the habit of saving. Because, Gil, we're doing the exact same things with our kids. It's not about how much money they save. It's about creating those habits that will serve them for a lifetime. That's, I think, the biggest part of that. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you're doing with your kids. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, thank you. And same thing you just said. I tell people don't have the lotto mentality, because how many people win the lottery and they go broke because they have
Yeah.
bad habits? They didn't have money because they couldn't save money. That's why. So once they get it, they spend, 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 like these wealthy people do. But those wealthy people, they have that income coming in on a regular basis. That's why they can afford to spend what they spend. And, that's well, what do they say? You have a better chance of getting struck by lightning twice than winning the lottery. It's cool to play. I get it. Everybody's had that dream, like, oh, what if I won the Mega Million, or what if I won this? I get it. That's cool, but I rather do something that is a little bit that has a better percentage of me winning versus just trying to throw crap at the wall and see what sticks.
Not just that, but if you don't have the habits to build it, you're not going to have the habits to sustain it. There's a proverb in the Bible that says, wealth gained hastily will dwindle. And just think about it like this. Think about it with financial fitness. If I could magically give all of your audience, a six pack, beach body look, right? And everybody looks like, um, uh, some, you know, superhero or something like that. We snap our fingers. Everybody's got perfect six pack. A year from now, most people wouldn't have it anymore because they still have the habits of sedentary lifestyle. They're eating too much, they're drinking too much, whatever. I don't care what it is. But it's the same thing with money. If we were to give everybody in your audience $1 million, which we won't do, but it'd be fun. A year from now, 2 years from now, most people aren't going to have much of that, if any, left. Some people will be in even worse financial circumstances because, as we talked about, I think it was before we started recording, we talked about how more money fixes financial problems like more horsepower fixes bad driving. If your teenage kid is bumping up the minivan, running into mailboxes and light poles, buying him a Ferrari is not going to help the problem. He's just going to wrap himself around a light pole that much faster. So we've got to fix our money management, not just try to add more money to the problem. It's our own behavior. That's why coaching is such an important part of what we do. Actually coaching the individual to become a better steward and a better investor. That's what creates life transformation.
Yeah. Amen to that. So you have to be accountable to what you do, what you say, to be able to budget your money, and you have to make sacrifices. There is no gain without some kind of sacrifice, no matter how big or small it is. If you think that you're just going to live your life all willy-nilly, um you're leaving things to chance, and I just don't want to live. I don't want to live that way. I know that if I live my life as a man the way that God wants me to be, that I have a better probability of making it into heaven. That's, what they preach in the Bible. That's what we do. None of us are perfect. That's why we sin. That, I won't get into that. Most of you know. Most of you know that. It's the same way with finances and business. I'm not just going to do it willy nilly. I want to try to have a plan, put something in place. And yeah, sometimes it sucks. Sometimes I don't feel any good from it, but I know that if I stick on track to that plan, it's going to work out in the long run.
And like you said, it gives you it's about like probability. I can't guarantee if somebody saves diligently, gets on a budget and all that they're going to be wealthy. But if they don't have a plan, I can almost guarantee that they're not. So having a plan doesn't guarantee financial success, but the lack of a plan almost always guarantees financial failure. And there is no shortcut to this. That's what kind of we've been talking about with this the idea of a lottery mentality is everybody's looking for a shortcut to a better business, to better fitness. Everyone wants a pill. But it's the same thing with finances. People want a shortcut, and you have to pay the price. There is no growth without discomfort. You already said that. You have to pay the price. Financial independence will exact a toll. You will have to pay a price for it, but it's far less expensive than the alternative, than living unintentionally, living lackadaisical or willy-nilly. that has a much greater cost over the rest of your life. So I think people they have to be willing to take control of their behavior, take ownership, and pay the price today to have a better future tomorrow.
Yeah, amen to that one too. And like you said earlier, so even if you have a budget and maybe you don't become wealthy, your life is still going to be better than it would have been without it. So that to me, it's a win-win regardless. Okay, maybe
Yeah.
you're not going to be rich. Life's still going to be better than it was without said things. So, man, we're already an hour, and as much as I want to keep going, this time, it goes by so fast. But I know when I get too close to after an hour, um, people stop listening. I don't know what it is. That hour's the sweet spot. So, Chad, I want to thank you so much for coming on, man. I'm so glad that we got linked up. Please definitely keep in touch, and we try to get you back on. And I know that we didn't dig into some deep things, but I love the messages that were given on this. That is for the business owners, for the regular technicians. That I hope this really hits them in the heart when it comes to their finances and gives them a wake up call that can really change their life for the good.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, and I love what you're doing. I love the way that you're empowering the trades, especially in the HVAC community, and happy to be a part of it. And if there's value that I can add by coming back on, would love to continue the conversation. I've really had a lot of fun, and it's been a blessing to me. So thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. It's down in the chat, but real fast before we end this, if somebody would like to reach out to you and your company, where can they go to find you, bud?
VeritasAlaska.com is our website, and don't let the URL fool you. We've got folks all over the United States, but we were founded in Alaska, so we kept it in the website, VeritasAlaska.com, and then we're Veritas.Alaska on Instagram. And if you have questions, you want clarification, or just you want a better idea of understanding, am I on track for my future? Hit us up, and we'll help clarify that path for you.
Awesome. I love it. So thank you so much, Chad. I'm going to close this thing out, man.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. And just so you know, all of Chad's links will be, I have one of them down in the show notes right now. Jason Johnson and Rookie have been sharing it all night long in the chat. And then when the audio comes out, I will have all of the links that Chad actually sent over. So I'll have all their links in the show notes for that. So, guys and girls, I hope that you all listen to this. And I always say that I want you to think more of yourself and what you do, because the trades are important. This country was built on our backs, and it's not going to change. And I want you to think of yourself the way a doctor thinks of their self, the way a lawyer thinks of their self, because that's how important we are. And we do make good money, and especially if you think about this as a career, not just a job. But I want you to be smart with what you make, to set yourself up that when your knees give out, your back gives out, um, or whatever it is, that you can try to have a plan before then, so that you can enjoy life after the trades, because we're all going to have that life after the trades. And I want every single one of you to be set up for success, to be able to enjoy your children, your grandchildren, your spouse, or whatever it is that makes you happy. Maybe it's being able to retire when you're 45 and walk your dog every day. I don't know. Whatever floats your boat, I want you to be able to do that. So please get some kind of financial planner, some kind of financial advice. Obviously, you can reach out to Chad and them at Veritas. If you have somebody else, then do that. Just please be thinking about this, and the sooner the better. All right. But with that being said, I want to thank all of you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you guys. Once again, I apologize about last week. That's, only lived here 3.5, 4 months, if that, I think. And I've lost power 4 times. So I think a backup generator is going to be in my future, so that we don't have that happen again. But thank all of you for coming. I really appreciate you, especially when I see the same people here every week, the people that I know that are going to support me no matter what. So thank you very much. With that being said, I'm going to close this out. Make sure that you follow me on all those social media sites. Almost at 12,000 on Instagram. Now that I've been putting some work, I'm finally getting that to grow. So if you're not following me over there, please go do so. Hit that subscribe button here on YouTube. Make sure you download and follow the podcast wherever you get your podcast. and also the Facebook group, HVAC Uncensored Podcast. And I got to get the reviews back up. So wherever you get your podcast, if you wouldn't mind leaving me a 5-star review, that would be greatly appreciated. That way, more and more people, we can get this podcast out to. And yeah, let's do that. If I don't think it's worth 5 stars, I'd rather you email me. I always take honesty. Just don't be an ass when you leave something on there. You guys know you can always email me, info@hvacuncensored.com, and I try to get back to you as fast as I possibly can. All right. Now I'm finally going to close this out. Please remember to be safe out there. We all have somebody to make it home to. Please keep your head on a swivel, whether you're driving, making sure the breaker's turned off, whatever it is. We live in a crazy world. Please be safe. And I want all of you to make it home the same way you left your house, back to your family every single night, because we all have somebody who cares about us and loves us. And I want to make sure you all get back there. The last thing I ever want to hear is something happened to one of my HVAC brothers and sisters out there that could have been avoided. All right. Remember to do the little things. Set yourself apart from the next guy or girl. All right. One of them is getting a financial planner to set yourself up for success. Read that book, listen to that podcast, turn the radio off and listen to something that's going to make you better. You're going to learn a new skill, whatever it may be. Because I always say this nowadays, there's no reason to say, I don't know. We have so much information at our fingertips. If you wanted to know, you would know. So keep educating yourself, read a book, whatever it is. And if you have something to share it with somebody else. Even when I say HVAC, if you're good at what you do, give back to somebody else. All right. Maybe you're still learning, which you always should be learning. I'm still learning 20 something years in, but I like to help other people and give back to this trade. All right. So don't talk about it, be about it. All right. And with that being said, I love you, mofos. Stay safe out there. And until next time, see you.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored Podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.
Before I close out, also, please stay hydrated. All right? Drink water.